How many know that he's a way maker? Come on, you know that. Let that person next to you know he's a way maker. I love him. If you have your Bible today, we're going to look in the book of 2 Samuel here in a moment. And we're starting a brand new series today. And I want you to say what that series is. And they're going to put it on the screen. But you say this with me. Say this. Come on, say it with me. Say this is home. Come on, say that again. This is home. Come on, say it with swagger a little bit. Say, this is home. You know what I'm saying? How many know home is a wonderful place? Come on now. I don't know about you, but when it comes to home, I like leaving on vacation, but I love coming home. There's something about going somewhere. There's something else about just being at home. I was away last week. I want to thank the two ladies two pastors in our church. Can you just put your hands together for our youth pastor's wife, Pastor Larissa, and my wife, Pastor Jenny, that preached while I was gone. Now you're wondering where my wife is. You're like, where did his wife go? She is in Belgium now. And she has a team of ladies. There's 6 of them there that are working with a ministry called Breaking Chains, and they're making a difference. They got off the plane, checked into their hotel, and went straight up to a city called Antwerp and worked and helped a lady that's getting out of prostitution and get her apartment set up so she can take her first step. Listen to your pastor. That's what the church does. The church helps people make steps towards Jesus. And they're on a mission trip. They're going to be working in what they call the red light district. The red light district, I've never been to the red light district. I'm not going to the red light district, but there's ladies in our church. Some of you understand what I just said. There's ladies in our church that are ministering to the people that are there, that are broken, that are messed up. They've got issues in their life, but you know something? We know that there's enough hope in Jesus. We know that he came for the broken. Do you know that today? Come on now. He came for the broken. He came for the messed up. He came for those that are struggling in situations. And they're there to be the love of Jesus for those people that are there and work with that ministry. So this series that we're starting today, this is home. When you're building a house or you're like buying a house, if you buy a house, how many's ever bought a house before? Wave at me. You know what I'm saying? If you buy a house, they're like, yeah, I bought several. Some people smiled at me. They do that thing called that home inspection, you know what I'm saying? And if you're selling your house, you're like, oh, I hope they don't find something that I don't know about. You know what I'm saying? They look at your roof. They look at the foundation. They look at the plumbing. They look at your air conditioning system. They look at it all to make sure that it all measures up. Make sure that it's been built right or it's up to speed. If you're building a house, you want to build it with the right materials. You want to have the right things in it. When it comes to church, I honestly believe that church has to be built the right way. That there's certain things that a church should be built on. That this home should be built on certain things that identifies who we are. So if this is home, sometimes if you were building the house, there's certain things that you'd say, this is what I want in it. And then your wife would say, no, this is what I want in it. You know what I'm saying? You'd say, well, I want something in the garage for me. And she's like, no, I need this in the kitchen. You're like, there's different ideas and different opinions about it. Everyone has an opinion about how you build a home. But when it comes to the church, you got to realize that Jesus said this. He said, I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. God is still building his church. The church is not a building. The church is not a program. The church is still people. Look at that person next to you and say, you're the church. Come on, somebody just discovered something. You're the church. So when we look at the church, we've got to realize what built this. What built this life? What's built it? And you can fill in the blank. Today, we're going to look at one thing that I believe we have to understand and wrap our faith around, wrap our minds around, that builds this house. We're going to start in 2 Samuel chapter 4, verse 4. Some of you are like, tell me, Pastor, at the end of this verse. Try to figure it out. Here we go. 2 Samuel chapter 4, verse 4. It says, Saul's son Jonathan had a son named Mephibosheth. Can you say Mephibosheth? Come on, say it out loud. Just let it roll off your lips. You know what I'm saying? Mephibosheth. Just rolls naturally like Michael or Manny or, you know what I'm saying? Mephibosheth. You know what I'm saying? Say it again. Mephibosheth. Well, that's a lot of syllables, you know what I'm saying? But let's just to give you a little bit of context of what this is. Mephibosheth is the grandson of Saul. Saul is the king of Israel. Saul is the first king of that nation, Israel, and Jonathan is his son. Jonathan has this son named Mephibosheth. But the Bible says that Mephibosheth was crippled as a child. He was 5 years old when Saul and Jonathan were killed at the Battle of Jezreel. When the news of the battle reached the capital, see, Mephibosheth was in the palace. The child's nurse grabbed him and fled. Get this picture in your mind. A nurse grabs a 5-year-old child and starts running for her life because she knew that the king was dead and the heir was dead, and this boy was probably next because there's going to be a new king coming in. She runs for her life, but she falls and she drops him as she was running, and he became a cripple as a result of her dropping him. Let's pause right there. Understand the context of this situation. The Bible says that he's crippled in both his feet. If he is 5 years old, that means he remembers when he could walk. He remembers what walking was like. And now for his life, he lives in a struggle where his feet are broken, he can't walk, and he can't move around, and he can't provide for himself, he can't fight for himself. He is dependent on people around him. And the reason that he's dependent is because somebody dropped him. We don't know her name. We just know that she was the person that was attending him, and she dropped him. She was somebody close to him. Listen to my voice. Somebody close to you may have dropped you. Somebody close to you may have broke you. Somebody close to you may have done something in your life that has brought a great amount of pain to your life. And you remember what it was like before, and you remember and you have the feelings of what it is now. I just want to encourage you today. This message is to let you know that there is hope even when you're dropped. There is hope even when you feel like you're broken. There is hope even when you feel like somebody close to you has dropped something on you. In 2 Samuel chapter 9, let's read on. Jump down to chapter 9. If you're taking notes, it's in the YouVersion and it's in the church app under Live Notes. Verse 1 says this: one day David, just to give you a little history so that we can understand what this is, David's best friend is Jonathan. David was in the king's palace. David was the one that saw him as his enemy, threw spears at him. David played a harp in the palace, and Jonathan was his closest friend, almost as close as a brother. And before Jonathan passed, David always said, "I will take care of your family." Anybody that's in your family, he made a covenant with him that he would take care of him and have mercy on him. It says this in chapter 9, verse 1, one day David, now David is the king now, he asked this: is anyone in Saul's family still alive? Anyone to whom I can show kindness for Jonathan's sake? And he summoned a man named Ziba, who had been one of Saul's servants. "Are you Ziba?" the king asked. "Yes, sir, I am," Ziba replied. And the king then asked him, "Is anyone still alive from Saul's family? If so, I want to show God's kindness to them." And Ziba replied, "Yes, one of Jonathan's sons is still alive. He is crippled in both feet." "Where is he?" the king asked. "In Lodabar," Ziba told him, "at the home of Machir, the son of Amiel." So David sent for him and brought him from Machir's home. His name was Mephibosheth. He was Jonathan's son and Saul's grandson. When he came to David, he bowed low to the ground in deep respect, and David said, "Greetings, Mephibosheth." And Mephibosheth replied, "I am your servant. Don't be afraid." David said, "I intend to show kindness to you because of my promise to your father Jonathan. I will give you all the property that once belonged to your grandfather Saul." Let that sink in. He makes him a promise. He says, "I'm giving you all the land that the former king owned. I'm giving it all to you." He's still crippled. "And I'm giving it to you, so don't be afraid. And you will eat here with me at the king's table." Verse 8. Mephibosheth bowed down respectfully and exclaimed, "Who is your servant that you should show such kindness to a dead dog like me?" Then verse 11, it says, "And from that time on, Mephibosheth ate regularly at David's table like one of the king's own sons." Verse 13, the last line of the story, says, "And Mephibosheth, who was crippled in both feet, lived in Jerusalem and ate regularly at the king's table. If you're taking notes today, we're talking about what built this. I think the greatest thing we can understand as a church is that grace built this. That this is a story of a young man who was marked by grace. And in this room, there are stories of people that have been marked by grace. Your life is marked by grace. There's been so much that you have been through, so much that you have walked through, so much that you've experienced, but it is grace that marked you. It is grace that has put hope in your heart and your life. And my prayer today is that we as a church, we understand the depth and the richness of what grace really is. And I believe David's going to show us what grace is. David is going to give us a picture so that we can not just understand it, but we can live it. See, grace is one thing to understand. Yeah, I need grace. But it's another thing to let it flow out of our lives. It's one thing to say, yeah, I am under grace. I am living my life under grace. It's another thing to realize that it is grace that I offer to the people around me. So let's pray today. Father, Lord, be with us. Guide us, lead us, direct us. Lord, you're so amazing. Have your way in this place. Lord, if there's somebody here that needs to experience grace in this richer way, God, Lord, I pray that you would just lavish grace on them, Jesus. Let us experience you in a greater way. In Jesus' name. If you love him, say amen. Come on, let's celebrate his word today. So Mephibosheth is like 5 years old, and he has this nurse. Some of you understand what I'm going to do with this thing, so here we go. Mephibosheth has this nurse, and she's taking care of him, and the situation is desperate. The situation is the king's dead, his father's dead. She realizes he is, and he could possibly be next. So she grabs Mephibosheth, and she starts running with him. You ever have your parents tell you, don't run with scissors, don't run with a pencil, don't run with something like, you ever hand something very expensive to a child, and they run with it, and they're like, oh man, who's ever done that before? Like drop something completely, and you're like, I just dropped it. Guess what? I got another one. But when it comes to life, a lot of times, a lot of us, here's our struggle in church sometimes. We focus so much on what's broken, and we fail to remember that Jesus came to redeem all of us. I'll let that sink in a little bit. Sometimes we focus so much on what's broken in our lives, and we give so much attention to what's messed up, and we give so much attention to what's not right, that we fail to remember that he came to make everything right. He came to bring wholeness to every bit of us, to redeem every part of us. So when it comes to your life, some of us in this room are like, wait a minute, I want to know what it is to be whole, but I just feel like I'm walking through life and somebody has dropped me. Rolled off the stage, you know what I'm saying? Let me get another one. Here we go. You're like, Pastor, what are you saying? Here, I want this to sink deep down into your heart. See, when it comes to Mephibosheth's life, Mephibosheth was marked by the fact that he was a cripple. When Saul asked if there was anybody there, they said, yeah, there's this boy. He's the son of Jonathan. He's a cripple. He has an issue. Culturally, in that time, if you were a cripple, you were useless. See, this pot is useful when it's whole. It's useful when you can put something in it. Now I can vent a little bit because my wife's overseas, so she's probably not watching, but here we go. We have a lot of these at our house. We have black ones, white ones, silver ones, all types of ones. And she plants in them, but we don't water them. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't water them and they're out front, what do? Let's say that again. I don't know if it's my job to water them, whatever, but sometimes I go out there and I go, man, there's, like during the hurricane, I really realized how many dead plants were by my front door. You know what I'm saying? Because I go to the front door and I'm like, I got to move all this stuff. Why? Because I don't want it blowing around the neighborhood. So I pick up all this stuff and I put it in the garage, and half of it is dead. And I realized that if you break most of them, then you don't have to refill them with something living. That's just evil and terrible, you know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, I did drop a few of them by accident. I picked up this thing. I go, well, that one's done. That one's toast. Here we go. Wait, sweep it up. Why? What do we do? Stuff that's broken, that's useless, what do? Throw it away. We get rid of it. Why? Because you can't use it for anything. Why do we as a church sometimes, and I'm not talking about this church and us, why do we as a church as a whole sometimes look at people that have issues that are broken in their lives, and we think they're useless, and we throw them away, and we say, God can't do something there, and we label it what it is. See, this is what we need to discover today, is that grace does what? Grace puts the pieces back together. Grace gives us an opportunity to be whole. Grace doesn't focus on what's messed up. Grace focuses on what he's already done for us. How many is redeemed today? How many love Jesus today? Put your hands together if you love him. So I just want to encourage you today to stop focusing on what's broken and start focusing on who really died for your life. See, Mephibosheth's life was marked by grace. So if we're going to use a definition of grace, let's define grace for a minute. Grace is this. Grace is a demonstration of love that is undeserved, unearned, and not repayable. It's a demonstration of love. You ought to take a picture of that, because the next time you don't understand grace, you need to understand that grace is not a license to live any way I want. Grace is what I live under. Grace is because he has demonstrated his love at Calvary, and I didn't deserve it, and I can't earn it, and I can't pay it back. But you know something? He freely gave it. Boy, that's a great place to clap. Come on, celebrate grace right now. Look at Mephibosheth. We go and look at Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth's name has an interesting meaning. His name means shame. His name means the feeling and the condition as well as the cause. It means to be ashamed. When it comes to being broken and messed up, a lot of times people focus on what's broken and messed up in our lives, and we feel shame. Can I help you out? The enemy wants you to feel shame. He wants you to help. He wants you to feel that, oh yeah, you really blew it. That area of your life is broken. That area is messed up. God could never, he could never do anything with just a piece of you. The moment that we choose to give him all of us, that's when he can put those pieces back together. I don't know about you, but on my best day, I need grace. On my best day, I need to understand that it's his grace that gives me breath to live. His grace gives me motivation to live. His grace was unearned and undeserved, and I can't repay it. But you know something? I can offer my life, and he can put the pieces back together. I can offer my life, and he can do more than I could ever do by trying to do it on my own. So when it comes to Mephibosheth, let's look at this story real quick. Mephibosheth is called out by David. David's like, okay, is there anyone? Look in verse 3 with me. The king asks, is anyone still alive from Saul's family? And if so, I want to show kindness to them. David wants to show kindness. What is he doing? He's asking. He's looking for an opportunity. So if grace is a demonstration of love, I've got to realize that grace is something that I can put on display. Grace is something not that I just live under, but grace is something that I can live with and I can offer to people around me. He said, I want to show kindness to this person. I want to show kindness. The word kindness there means mercy. It means goodness. It means faithfulness. So if anybody's alive, he wants to show kindness to them. So let's make it real. When was the last time that we chose to show kindness to someone near us? Here's the challenge. Today, when you leave this building, you go home, you go to your neighborhood, or you go out to eat, or you go to Walmart, you go shop somewhere, whatever you got to do, whatever happens in your life today, look for the opportunity to show kindness. Because kindness always there's always an opportunity to be kind. When it's garbage day, it's a great day to show kindness. Why? Because sometimes people overfill their garbage cans and the stuff falls out all over the street and everything, and you drive by and you do what? You look at it and you're like, oh my goodness. The first thought in your mind is like, why don't they put it in a plastic bag? What are they doing with their garbage? Why do they have so much garbage? Are you kidding me? I have this recycle bin that they come every 2 weeks, and sometimes that baby gets overly full and it like spills out, and we can either look at it and we can say, that's messed up, or we can look at it and say, what an opportunity to be kind to somebody around us. And a greater opportunity to be kind is go to Walmart today or Target today or any store today and get in a long line. And when you get in a long line and there's people behind you, say, hey, go ahead in front of me. Go ahead, get somebody with the largest basket of groceries you could ever find and let them go right in front of you. And you know what that is? That's called kindness. Some of you are like, no, man, that's called dumb. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to get out of here. I've just said what you thought in your brain, okay? So when it comes to kindness is what? Kindness is a choice. If kindness is a choice, then David made a choice, and his choice was grace. His choice was to show kindness to someone what? That didn't deserve it. Listen culturally. David was the king, and those kings normally would wipe out all the males in the former king's family because they didn't want an heir to be there. And not just that, they would wipe out any of their enemies. They would take them all out. So Saul was an enemy, and Mephibosheth was an heir to the throne, and normally the king would take him out. But he chose this thing called grace. He chose to do something that wasn't normal because inside of his heart he wanted to show grace that to someone that didn't deserve it. See, grace is a demonstration of love. Then our greatest demonstration is what? Our greatest demonstration is the cross. Think of it. Even before we believed, the Bible says in Romans that what? He still died for us. That the cross is what? The cross is the greatest demonstration of love. And if you read it in John 3:16, it says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whosoever believeth in him would not perish but have everlasting life." Look at the verse after that. In verse 17, it says, "For God didn't send his Son into the world to condemn the world." Jesus didn't come to say, okay, hey, your life is messed up. You speed way too much, Pastor. Are you kidding me? You eat way too many sweets, Pastor. You don't exercise enough, Pastor. Yeah, okay. Yeah, some of us are like, we think that we feel condemned. When we focus on what's broken, sometimes we condemn ourselves. Listen to my voice. Jesus didn't come to condemn you. He came to save you. Oh, that's a great place to celebrate. Come on, he came to save my soul. He came to show me grace when other people couldn't show me grace. He came to be grace in my life. So if he came to be grace, and if grace built this, grace built our lives, then grace has to flow out of our lives. And grace has to be the kindness and the goodness and the mercy that flows out of our lives. What he puts in us has to reach the world around us. So how much grace? So, there are some people in this world that have extra amounts of grace that's required. You know what I'm saying? You ever be around somebody like that? They're like, this person demands a lot of grace. You know what I'm saying? You got to smile a whole lot around them because they drive you crazy. Hello? Shake your head if you understand what I'm saying. If it's the person sitting next to you, don't shake your head, all right? So what I'm saying is sometimes we got to realize that the grace, if we're going to live under grace, then grace has to flow out of us. So as a church, if I'm building a place, guess what? I want people to understand that grace is a demonstration. And this week, we can demonstrate love. We can demonstrate love in our neighborhood. We can demonstrate love in the Walmart. We can demonstrate love at the gas station, anywhere and everywhere. And when we do, we're only demonstrating what has been demonstrated to us, what has been given to us. See, grace isn't a demonstration. Notice this. When David came to Ziba, he says, "Is there anybody around that was in the family of Saul?" And this guy named Ziba steps up. Now, Ziba knew that this kid was living here. Ziba knew that where he was, and he knew his name specifically. But when David asked who it was, listen to Ziba's answer. Ziba says, "Yes, there's one of Jonathan's sons, but he's a cripple in both his feet." He doesn't tell him his name. He doesn't offer up his name. He doesn't say, "Hey, there's this guy and his name is Mephibosheth." He says, "Yeah, there's one of Jonathan's sons and he's a cripple." You know what he was saying? He was labeling him. He was telling him, you don't want to be in his presence because both his feet are broken. In those days, culturally, a person that had a deformity like that would not come in the presence of somebody royalty and some king. A person with that type of deformity would not even go to a spiritual place. Ziba was saying and labeling him a cripple. Remember in the New Testament, the lady that's brought to Jesus, and all these religious people brought her to Jesus? The only thing we know her by is the lady that was a harlot, or the lady that had all these husbands. They brought him and dropped him in front of her. She was what? She was labeled. In the Old Testament, there was another lady. She was the lady that the disciples, or not disciples, the spies went into the land and they went to see, and they said there was this lady and she was a harlot. We don't know her name. We know her label. See, here's the problem with labels. When we label something, we put something in a box. We label it. It's kind of like your garage. You label it. I don't even label it. I just throw it up on a shelf, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to a label, sometimes we label it and we put it in a box. And when we put it in a box, we choose whether or not it deserves to be open. We choose whether or not we deserve to go there, because when we put it in a box, we keep it in this place. We do this as a society. Not as a church, but as a society, we do this when we label people. Sometimes we label people interesting things. People are labeled addict. People are labeled crazy. When I was a kid, they would label kids, there's certain words that I'm going to say that are politically incorrect, so please don't hate on me for them. But we would label people as kids. How many as a kid do you ever label somebody something? You ever call them something, call them a name, whatever? We would call people retard. We would call people dweeb. We would call people psycho. We would call people crazy. We would call people all kinds of things. Why? Because we would label them. Some of you are like, Pastor, I can't believe you're saying that. And when we label somebody, if we label somebody, what we're saying is we're labeling their struggle. We're labeling who they are. And we are what? We are boxing them into a certain place. This man tried to label Mephibosheth a cripple that didn't deserve to come to the king. We do that when we label people as our society does. Listen to the labels sometimes our society uses. Our society uses a label called redneck. Our society uses the label thug. Our society uses the label, I don't know if they use it anymore, but hoochie and homo and homeless and racist, and we label all these things. Listen, Jesus didn't die for a label, he died for people. And when we label people, we deem them in a box and we say they're over here. Guess what? The gospel has to work for every person, every color, every creed, every struggle, every situation. You got to get it right. Listen, let me go here. We could label them Democrat. We could label them Republican. We could stinking label them socialist. Jesus doesn't give a rip what society labels them. Grace is enough. His grace knows their name, not their label. See, David said, hey, who is he? And he said, and Ziba says, his name is Mephibosheth. He tells him his name. See, grace has to know your name, not your condition. Your condition does not define you, and it doesn't disqualify you. Your condition is just an opportunity for grace. See, if all we do is focus on what's broken, then we label ourselves. Then we put ourselves in a box. And we put ourselves in a box, we deem ourselves whether we deserve or not deserve grace. Guess what? Grace is a demonstration of love. Regardless of what you do or what you try to do, guess what? His grace is sufficient. It's unearned, it's undeserved, and you can't repay it. That's what love is. So grace, what? Grace knows my name. Grace knows my name and has a plan for my life. Jesus has greater for your life. You got to realize that when grace enters into the picture, grace changes everything. So when Saul's there and he goes, or not Saul, David's like, so David sends for him. The king says, okay, he's in this house, go get him. Think of this. This is the moment that Mephibosheth, who's in this place called Lodabar. Lodabar is a wretched place. Lodabar is the wilderness. Lodabar is the slums of the Samaritans. Lodabar is where the criminals and the thugs and the people went to hide. He was hiding in a place that the king would never go to look for him. And when the king said, go get him, you know what was happening? He shows up, they knock on the door and said, hey, guess what, Mephibosheth, the king wants to see you today. You know what his first response is? Like, woo, I'm going to the palace. His first response was, my life is over. I've been found. He's going to take me out. Why? Because I am a legitimate heir to the throne. But that's not the picture that takes place. David says, go get him, and when he gets him and brings him, Mephibosheth comes in. Now think of this. Mephibosheth is a cripple. When they bring him, somebody had to physically pick him up, carry him, and bring him to the king. And when they brought him to the king, they set him down. And Mephibosheth is there, and he's sitting down. He's not even standing up, and he's sitting there. And David says this, greetings, Mephibosheth. Oh, let this sink in. Greetings, Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth goes like, he greets the king, and he's like, just like, wow, are you kidding me? David didn't call him by his condition, didn't call him by anything. He called him by his name. In a moment, he changed his entire situation because he said his name. See, when he said his name, everything shifted and everything changed. See, Mephibosheth was in a place where he could receive grace, and David could have said, it's over, it's done, this kingdom is gone. But David said, I'm going to show you kindness. And when he showed him kindness, he called him by name. And Mephibosheth's response was to bow even lower and say, why would you consider a dead dog like me? See, grace knows your name. Grace knows your condition. Grace knows your situation. But it's your name that Jesus died for. It's you that Jesus died for. He's got a greater plan for you. Listen, he is calling your name. Some of us focus so much on what's messed up in our lives, and we give so much attention to what's messed up. Why not give attention to the person that's calling our name? If grace built this, then guess what? Grace is enough for everyone. Regardless of what their struggle is, we say this all the time. Guess what? Everyone's welcome. If someone accused me like, Pastor, you preach way too much grace, sign me up. Sign me up. You know why? Because I don't deserve it. I can't pay for it. And it's unearned. There's nothing I could do for it. You know something? He saved my soul out of a wretched place. He's got a plan for everyone. If it doesn't work in this life, then it can't work in everybody's life. And if it doesn't work in our life, then guess what? It only works in a select few. But you know something? Jesus didn't die for a few people. He died for the world. And if he died for the world, then guess what? The church is the greatest place to say, his grace is sufficient. Somebody here today is your greatest struggle right now is this. It's the broken parts of your life. Can I help you out? Someone who's messed up, like your pastor was. Somebody who's jacked up. You know, I'm just a person that's been saved by grace. I didn't grow up in a preacher's home. I grew up in a home where my parents separated when I was 20 years old. My dad lives in northern Idaho. He is remarried. I have a 13-year-old brother. Do the math. I'm 52. Some are like, you're 52? There you go. I have a 13-year-old brother that lives in northern Idaho. I talk to him on the phone about every other week. You know something? My mom is remarried. She lives in Orlando. She is an amazing woman. The only reason why I exist today, I believe, is because Mama prayed me into the kingdom. I didn't have a choice. My mom prayed. She fasted, she believed, she prayed, and she spoke life into me. A person that's messed up, that has issues in their life, here's the thing you got to realize. We don't need someone to tell us what our issues are. We don't need someone to point out what's messed up in our lives. There's too much in the world saying, well, you're messed up here, and you're messed up there, and you're messed up there. You know what we need? We need someone to speak hope and life over our lives. We need someone to say, God's got a plan for you. Your life matters. What you're walking through right now, just keep walking. Just keep walking towards him. He's got greater. You're going to win. You're victorious. He's got a plan. His plan is good. His plan is not evil. He's not going to harm you. He's got great things for you. We need to hear that. So many people some people in the church, and I see this on social media. They want to point out people. They want to call out people and call out different things. Guess what? People that are struggling in their lifestyle, guess what? They don't need people to call them out. They need people to show them grace. They need someone to show them this is the way, that Jesus is the way. He is the truth. He is the life. And we're willing to walk with you in the way. We're willing to do life around you and let you understand that there is greater for you. See, if grace built this place, then guess what? Grace has to be our greatest motivation. We are not motivated to fill a building. We're not motivated to fill the gymnasium with students on Wednesday night. You know, we're motivated. We're motivated so that broken and messed up people understand grace and find Jesus. That's our greatest motivation, is that they would understand that there is room at the table for them. How many are thankful for grace today? Are you thankful for grace? Come on, can you put your hands together if you're thankful for grace today? Come on, let's stand to our feet. It's just a few more moments, and we'll baptize people in a little bit. Would you just in this moment, understand one thing. The last line of the story. The last line of the story frames everything. Because the last line of the story says this: From this time on, Mephibosheth, who was crippled in both feet, lived in Jerusalem and sat at the king's table every night. Mephibosheth, who was still broken, still messed up, sat at the table. There was room for him at the table. The king said, you're going to be like one of my sons. You're going to eat off this table. There is room for you. Listen to your pastor's heart. There is room for you at the table. Regardless of how messed up or broken your life is, his grace is enough. You believe that? Come on, I believe that today. His grace is enough for your life. Somebody here may be thinking, man, Pastor, I've walked through a valley. I've walked through some dark things. I've been through some things. I know what the broken parts of my life are. Would you close your eyes today? I just believe that in a few moments that God can rearrange, and God can redeem, and God can put pieces back together that you think could never be put together. See, God's a God of redemption. Our God's a God that came to redeem all of you and not a part of you. So today you may be here and you may feel like, man, my life is messed up. My life is a mess at times. But I need grace. I need Jesus. That's you when I say three, you're like, Pastor, I need him. I just need him. Would you just slip your hand up? I want to pray with you right where you're standing. You ready? Come on, 1, 2, 3, slip your hand up. Say, Pastor, pray for me. I need him. I need grace today. Boy, every section. Anybody else? 5, 4, 3. There you go. There you go. Anyone else? 2. Oh, every section. Come on now. Our greatest struggle at times is that we focus on what's messed up. The enemy wants you to focus on the pieces you don't like, the pieces that are ugly, the pieces that are broken off, the jaded pieces. But Jesus said, fix your eyes on me. Turn your eyes towards him. Let us look unto him, the author and the finisher of your faith. If you would understand this, man, I'm thankful that I'm not what I used to be. But you know something? I'm even more thankful that he's not done with me, that he's still working on me, that his grace is sufficient for me, that every day, even on my best day, I do need his grace. So in a moment, I'm going to pray with you. In a moment, our prayer team's going to come and stand around the front, and I just want to encourage you. Today is your day to get over what's broken. Today is your day to let go of the broken and say, God, I receive grace. Father, we love you. We thank you. God, I thank you for those that responded to the message today, Jesus, that need grace, that need you. Father, in a moment, I pray, Lord, that you would just wrap your arms around us, God. God, that person that says, I need to know you, if that's you today, it's super simple. Pray a simple prayer. You're making a decision to follow him today. That decision sounds like this. In your heart, say, Jesus, today, I choose you. I choose life. I choose to live for you. So today, Jesus, thank you for dying for me. Thank you for saving my soul. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Come on, let's celebrate all across the building. Come on, every section. Can you put your hands together and just thank God? If you're on our prayer team, would you come? And this is what we understand as a church. As your pastor, understand this. There are moments in life that the pieces of our life feel so broken. If you're on our prayer team, come. That we just need someone to pray with us. We need someone to stand with us. We need someone to believe with us. If you made a decision a few moments ago, I want to encourage you to come. There's a card for you to fill out, and we want to do life with you. But if you're in a situation where you're focusing so much on what's messed up, as they sing, I'm going to have you come and have somebody stand with you and pray with you and believe with you, because God has so much more for you. As you come, and you're going to come, this is a step of faith. You're saying, God, I need you. God, I need you. You're going to step towards him. Now, if you need to be baptized in water, I don't want you to step this way. I want you to go right out there to the Connect booth right over there, and they'll give you some instruction right over there to get connected. If you're here today and you're like, man, I want to get baptized today, I didn't come ready for that, go right over there to get connected when we have people come this way, and let God do something great as you take your next step. Close your eyes for a moment. Father, thank you, Lord, that we're in a place, God, that grace can put the pieces back together. God, we're in a place where grace changes and shifts everything. Lord, touch some hearts and lives, Lord, that responded. Touch some hearts and lives, God, that they're struggling with grace. Lord, as we believe together, God, do greater. We love you. In Jesus' name.
No matter what.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to support this ministry, you can check us out at oceanwayag.com and click the Give tab.